Hi guys, pontoon boat season again. Let's get this thing ready to go on the lake. Another pre-season task that I want to get accomplished here is reinstalling the gas tank tray that was originally here. I've got it over on the table. It's a little bit on the beat up side. Obviously it's rubbed against a dock or two in its life, but a little bit of straightening with a hammer and we'll get this remounted here. I'd like to pick up another one of those 12-gallon Scepter fuel cells that we can use, because I'm finding when we're doing a big run up to the top end of the lake, I don't have quite enough fuel and I end up having to dump a jerry can in to make it back to the landing. It's I don't know, 25 miles up to the top end of the lake where my buddy's cabin is, and having the extra fuel sure would be nice. This is the second fuel tank tray. You can see it looks like they had the battery strapped down on it at one time, and as I said here, it's banged up. Probably they had room for a fuel can on here as well. The boat came with a fairly small fuel tank, so I'm not sure if it was strapped down on the far side or strapped down to this. But let's get rid of all these screws, fasteners, everything that would wear a hole in one of those larger fuel cells, and then we'll do a little bit of TLC and see if we can get this edge to kind of come back to some semblance of normal. Not exactly sure what these screws would have been used for. I'd like to get them out of there. Unfortunately, with the relatively thin aluminum, it doesn't take a whole lot of tapping to get things to straighten out. Originally this U-channel, clip-on U-channel trim was on here, but it's all kind of beat up and it's also shrunk quite a bit from what the original is. I might see if I can find some more of that. That would definitely go nice on there, kind of protect from the fuel tank rubbing on the edges. That's definitely much better than it was. Let's throw this back up on the boat. I'll grab the riveter and we'll see if we can figure out what we're going to use for rivets to hold it down. We've got the tray sitting up here where it originally came from. First thing we're going to have to do is punch out the old rivet stems, and then we'll reattach the tray. I'm going to use 3/16 steel rivets on this. Ideally I'd like to use stainless, but I've gone to a couple stores here locally and I cannot find any stainless rivets, so we'll make do with what we have. And as I suspected, that is the size of the original hole. We'll give a hand riveter a try first off and see how it works. If we need to break out the big guns, I've got kind of a double acting riveter as well as the air riveter. Oh, I think this will work. First one. And I take extra care to make sure that I pick up all the rivet stems, because getting one of those in a tire would suck when you're 50 miles out in the bush. Nice shiny new fuel tote that I picked up, and they're not cheap. I paid $100 plus tax Canadian for this, but I've been pricing them out online and they've kind of gone up to 120 American. So I guess you could call these new old stock, and we'll say that we got a good deal on it. On the other side, we've been using the fuel fitting that came with the Force outboard. This is a Mercury style fitting. I've never had problems with them, but I've heard that they have a tendency to leak and not make a good seal, so that you're sucking air around them, etc. And as you can see, a little bit of dirt and whatnot on there for winter storage. Given that I'm running a Yamaha motor, I decided to switch over to a Yamaha fitting, which of course the 90-degree fitting doesn't want to thread in there quite so easily. Let me grab a screwdriver. We'll back this fitting off just a little bit so that we can tighten this up. Also, I'm going to put some pipe dope on there so that kind of seals the threads up a little bit. I installed a similar fitting in a tank for the 18 horse Evinrude that I'm working on, check out that playlist. And I had to do the same thing, back off this outlet just a touch because the barb is too long. That will hopefully be enough. Permatex thread sealant is what I've used, and I've used this on my airplane for several years. That's actually what I bought this tube for, was when I was assembling the fuel lines on my airplane. And it does a pretty decent job. It's fuel resistant. Very few things are actually fuel proof. This does seem to stand up to the fuel without too much difficulty. Hopefully it will likewise do here. The only place that I've really run into a problem using the Permatex stuff is on something that gets exposed to heat, because it tends to soften up and melt, and then air or whatever is able to work its way through the threads. Okay, that has that one. I'm going to repeat this on the other side. You guys don't need to watch that. I'll bring you back when I've got this little project basically done. We're going to change out the fitting. Nice square end. I'll save this for use on a Mercury. I assume I'll pick up a Mercury outboard at some point and require this fitting. And as I've said many times, I prefer to use an ear clamp. Slide that on over there. This, give it a little bit of slobber so that it slides in easier. Take the straight cutting pliers and we crimp. It's in there. And of course there's absolutely no fuel in this tank yet. So can't hook the motor up to it and try and run it. There is one more thing that we need to do though before we call this job done, and we need to put a strap on this tank, because even if it's full, you hit a bump going down the road and this will end up busting open on the pavement. This is a decent condition, but it's a cheap strap that I got kicking around in the garage. We'll throw this on the tank, it should work. I've taken it apart so I can feed the narrow end down through the front, because there's not much of a gap up there. Try and reach my big arms in to grab it. And of course it's not cooperating. Let me grab something to hook it with. Camera should do. And it would be nice if this would cooperate. A double hook will bring it down kind of to the back. Hopefully that will keep everything nice and solid. Well guys, I think we're going to end this chapter here. This is a good spot to stop. Enough content for one quick video, and check back for some more of season 2 of Project Pontoon Boat. Thanks a lot for watching.